Well, you can take your cell phone. This is my cell phone. You have to use your cell phone. You can take your cell phone and pop it in the grip tight mount, and then you attach the mount to any tripod that you have. And it ends up being a really great tool for creating one-take videos in and for the classroom. Now, if you don't have a Twitter account and would like to sign up, you can go to twitter.com and follow the directions to sign up. It's fairly easy. If you don't have a Twitter account and you're not going to sign up, that's totally fine as well. You can still find all the resources that I'm sharing throughout my keynote by going to twitter.com/PocketLodge and scrolling down to find all the tweets that have hashtag #OpenLecture17. So let's begin.
Have you ever been running late to class each time? And you run, students are there, and 30 seconds, you kind of gather your, I've been doing this many times, and I'm lecturing like this because I can walk right in the door, click play, gets a chunk of the information out there ahead of time, while I can continue to set up and center myself getting ready for the classroom. Now, this allows me a lot of flexibility in what I can do with this video. I can send it ahead of time. I can show it in class like I did here. There are a number of things I can do. And over the next 45 minutes or so, 40 minutes or so, I'm going to be challenging you in a number of ways. I'm going to ask you to step out of your comfort zone, maybe a couple of times, to demonstrate my version, my method of the flipped classroom. It might be a little bit different. If you've heard of it before, it may be slightly different than what you've heard. But before we get into any of that, I would like to tell you a story. A few years ago, my colleague, Dr. Brandy Parker up here, and I embarked upon a journey to learn how to dance. We'd never danced before, so we wanted to learn how to swing dance specifically, learn the Charleston and the Lindy Hop. And we took 10 weeks of dance classes, and this is a video we created of our progress after 10 weeks. If Dr. Parker might join me up here. Let's hear for Dr. Parker. Yes, bring her up, yes. We approached learning to dance in a kind of drastically different way than I'd ever learned anything before. It was sort of an experiment. What we did was we took lessons from an instructor, and we would go into our lesson, an hour-long lesson, and we would film it, put a camera in the corner, a one-take video, and we would film ourselves taking the lesson. Going through our steps, the instructor would say things and we would adjust what we're doing, hands and arms and whatnot. So after the lesson was over, we would go home and we would pull up the video and we would watch our lesson back so we could see from a different perspective, so we could gather that data and say, wow, I didn't even know I was getting that wrong. I didn't really fix what I thought I was fixing. It gave us a really great view into our progress. At the end of watching the video, watching our lesson back, we made a noise that was glorious. We would make summary videos, 5-minute summary videos that capture the we would make summary videos capturing our progress, 5-minute versions of what we're supposed to be working on. Our steps, right? So we'd show ourselves, basically teaching ourselves how to do it correctly, all right? And then we watched those 5-minute videos over and over and over. Now, we were able to progress very quickly with our learning in a new skill because of what we considered a new reflective practice technique. Watching ourselves, working on it. Watching ourselves, working on it. So after 10 weeks, we were able to perform like this. Now, I've tweeted out this video if you want to watch it with the sound. You can watch that at another time. I think it's pretty great. We actually sang a song, we sang a duet together and then danced to our own duet. But thank you, that's wonderful. But now we learned a lot of cool movements, right? We learned a lot of great things about dancing, but the most important thing I learned from dance was a question. The question is, may I make a suggestion? All right, let's back into that. So if everyone can stand up, we want to teach you the first lesson we learned in dance. So everybody go ahead and stand up for me, please. It's kind of fun. Everybody wave at me. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, all right, good. Now, we don't want anybody to get injured, all right? So the first lesson we learned in swing dance was something called pulsing. Pulsing. So here's how it works. Bend your knees slightly, and we're going to pulse from our core to a beat. So pulse, pulse, pulse. That was our first lesson. And you all are experts. This is great. You all are experts. And you can see us pulsing up here, of course. Ah, fantastic. All right. Stay standing up, if you will, just for a moment. I struggled with pulsing. I've been playing music since I was 2 years old, violin at 2 years old. So most of my rhythm comes in my arms, my hands, and my feet. I also play the drums. So when I started pulsing, I was pulsing, pulsing. And my instructor saw this, and he said, you need to practice pulsing. I wasn't naturally like that. So he said, practice pulsing. So pulse through parking lots. Pulse in the grocery store. Right? Pulse everywhere. And I got better quickly. Okay, go ahead and take a seat. Thank you. Pulsing. But let's get back to this question. Swing dancing is a social dance, meaning we were consistently and constantly encouraged to go to dances. A room maybe as big as this with a couple hundred, it's flat obviously, with a couple hundred dancers in it, with a live band. We were encouraged to go every week to one of these dances. And when we were there, because it's a very social event, we were encouraged to dance with other dancers, not just each other. Now we were learning together and I was comfortable with Brandy, all right? But now we were throwing other people in the mix. And I was very uncomfortable because I was a beginner. And we were encouraged as you're walking around a room, the gentlemen are usually the leads and the ladies are usually the follows. If I see a young lady sitting, waiting for a dance, I'm encouraged to go and say, may I have this dance? And you can say yes or no. Usually it was no. No, usually it was yes. I mean, look, come on. Usually it was yes. And most of the time, I would get a dancer, a partner here that I didn't know, and I would find out immediately that this person is much better than I am at dancing. I realized it right away. It was very uncomfortable. I felt very insecure, right? Like, oh, this person's hating it. I don't know. I'm just going to do my 3 cheesy moves. I'm just going to do 3 moves until the song is over. Now, when I'm dancing with a better dancer, about half of the time, this is what happened. All right? So I start dancing. Oh, I realize this person's way better than me. Okay, it's okay. We'll just get through the song.
You know, Lodge, you should really bend your knees more, and you need to just relax and pulse a bit more. I think that would help you.
As soon as she says, you should, totally destroyed. I don't want to dance with this person anymore. I just want the song to be over. It hurts my feelings. You should is a nasty beginning of a sentence. If you're looking to get somebody to change, if you're looking to inspire somebody, you should is not the best approach. The other half of the time, another dancer who's much better than me, oh, this person's better than me, okay, this might happen.
May I make a suggestion?
Now, as soon as that is asked, may I make a suggestion? It's a totally different world. Because I can say no. No thanks. It's good. I'm going to do my 3 moves. I still feel fine about that. But of course, I can say yes. And in that moment, I've said yes. I've opened my mind for constructive or critical feedback. Makes all the difference. You should closes people down. May I make a suggestion? Opens people's minds if they say yes. No, come back to them. Come back to them in a time. No means, they're not ready for it. And if they say something like, well, I guess, that means no. That also means no. Thank you, Dr. Parker. Let's hear it for Dr. Parker. Now, why am I talking about dancing? How does this fit into our conversation? Well, education, teaching is very personal for people. Everybody has vastly different ideas about how it works and how it should work and how they are doing with their practice, with their instruction. Which makes a lot of sense. A lot of us spent a lot of time in school, so we have a lot of preconceived notions. Well, this is important in our discussion, important for me to kick it off this way, because my job is to go around and inspire change, which is very difficult and a lot of fun. I love it. But that is my job, to try to inspire change. And it informs this conversation. And those of you in this room whose job is to inspire or encourage change may find this useful. Because in a room like this, the last thing I want to do with a number of passionate educators is to stand up here and say, you should. Because as soon as I start that, I've closed almost everybody down. It doesn't do any good for me with my job. Instead, I will ask, may I make a suggestion? So, may I make a suggestion? Some reluctant yeses, that's okay. I guess, that means no. No, that's okay. Okay, so for those of you who said yes, I suggest to consider recording your lesson and lecture content. And I would like to demonstrate a little bit why. This is a video that I created using a program called Screencast-O-Matic. It is an alternative to using what I created, what I used to create my opening video, instead of a cell phone on a tripod. This is a program that helps you capture your computer. You can put your webcam in it. You can have your voice go through your computer. I also consider it a one-take video. We can just hit record a lesson, hit stop, and the product is done. I'm going to play you this video. At the end of the video, I'm going to ask you to work in a small group of people who are around you and answer a question. So here's the video.
We sent out a survey asking teachers who have recorded and published their lecture content to tell us the difference between how long a live lecture used to take compared to how long their video lectures are. And most of these teachers have gone through the training program that we have created. So we had middle school, elementary, middle, high school, and college professors all participate in this survey. We had 127 teachers reply in total. And here is a summary of their responses. So in elementary school, the elementary school teachers reported that the average length of their live lecture was 23.4 minutes, and the average length of a video lecture on the same topic that used to take them 23.4 minutes is 5 minutes. In middle school, the average live lecture is 38.3 minutes. Their average video lecture is 8.5 minutes. In high school, an average live lecture is 37.8 minutes, and their average video lecture is 10.5 minutes. And in college, their average live lecture is 54 minutes, and their average video lecture is 19.8 minutes. Huge huge benefits and efficiency from recording your lecture content. Basically, in elementary school, the ratio is 5 to 1. For every 5 minutes you do live lecture, that can be summarized in a 1-minute video. For middle and high school, it's about 4 to 1, and college is 3 to 1. The other interesting thing we're finding is that so for college, the ratio is 3 to 1. Also for like faculty meetings, staff meetings in school, it's about a 3 to 1 ratio for live talking compared to what could be condensed to a video. And also professional development is usually about 3 to 1 as well.
When we first discovered or collected these data, I looked at the result and it said, there's no way. That's absurd. I look at that and say, that's absurd. There's no way that can possibly be true. But it holds true through thousands of educators all across the world that I've worked with, both in person and online. And my question for you is, why? What slows down live lecture? And I'd like you to turn and talk with a group of people that are around you for about 2 minutes. I want you to come up with a bulleted list, and you'll realize very quickly that, oh wow, there are a lot of things that go on in a classroom that slow down the lecture process. So take about 2 minutes, discuss with a small group, people are around you, come up with a bulleted list. Begin. All right. I was able to get around to some of the room. I was able to answer a few questions one-on-one. And I like answering students' questions in this way. A lot better than an auditorium and then students raising their hands. For a number of reasons. I like to control the questioning in my classroom. I also like to answer questions one-on-one, face-to-face with students, and then I get to decide if I use class time to answer that for a group. So if I hear the same question 3 or 4 times, I'm going to bring that one up. If I hear a question once and a student needs clarification, I can give that to them one-on-one. It doesn't eat up a bunch of my class time. So I was able to do that a bit here. And what I heard are great responses. All right, so we got a decent hold of this. And I would like to do a quick demonstration before I go give an overview of what we have found are the 4 main reasons why live lectures are so much slower than video lectures. All right, so here's a demonstration. I would like to teach you a lesson. Would somebody please time me? Oh, hello everybody. Hi. Thank you all for being here. Has anybody ever heard of TED Talks before? Raise your hand if you've heard of TED Talks. Yes. They are all, yes. Yes, thank you. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Yes, I had heard of those. Anyway, so TED Talk, this concept of TED and TEDx is great because it allows people to come together very much like what we are right now and share ideas, and then they capture those ideas and put them usually online so others can benefit from these ideas. Now, I have done, you talked about TEDx, I've done 2 TEDx events. One of them was for Johnson & Johnson, the corporation, if you know, yeah.
Oh, I was at that one. I saw you, I was also talking at TEDx, and it was about data, and I talked about how I make communication strategies for workplace. But yeah, I saw your talk, it was really good.
Thank you. Okay. So, thank you very much. Right, so I've done 2. So one was Johnson & Johnson, and the other one was at NC State University. All right? And they were great. It was very much like this. So big stages, lights, cameras, the whole deal. And they were great events. And what I realized and what I want to get through to you here, the lesson I would like to teach you, is that you don't need all of that to share high quality ideas. You don't need the fancy cameras, you don't need the stages, you don't need the lights. All you need is your cell phone in your living room. And then...
Do you have to have a tripod for it?
well, I'll show you. Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. Please hold your questions to the end. Okay, so where was I? But right, so I meet all these different people, you know, musicians and artists and scientists and teachers with all these great ideas, and I just try to encourage them. Use your cell phone in your living room, and then share those simple one-take videos with your social networks. That is your audience. You don't need a room full of people and a time and a date. We can just blast that information out at any time. So don't wait for permission to share your great ideas. 3 minutes? Okay. 3 minutes long. That was pretty good. I got through, okay. What I experienced and the 4 things that slow down live lecture from the teachers and professors and instructors we've worked with. The main one is cognitive interruptions. We've got rambling and tangents. We've got repetition and reteaching. I want to mainly focus on the cognitive interruptions. Anytime this is the relationship, we've got students' questions, which I've already addressed. I like to take control of questions in a different way. Off-task or off-topic questions can eat a lot of time. Even trying to remember what I was trying to say, looking at somebody and you're looking at me funny. You're not actually, but you're looking at me funny. Is my hair bad? Like, I don't know. There's all this social interaction between all of us right now, and it just throws off my delivery of content. All right? So I like to build relationships with students on more of a small group, one-on-one basis by getting through the content efficiently. But let me play you my video of that same information. Will you time this one? Here we go.
TED Talks are extremely cool. They give an audience a chance to come together and listen to ideas worth spreading from a variety of experts whose talks are then recorded and published. I've had the opportunity to participate in 2 TEDx events, which are independently organized TED events. The first was at NC State University, and the second was for Johnson & Johnson. And these events were great. Fancy cameras, big stages, lights, and live audiences. But they weren't necessary for sharing high-quality ideas. I meet so many people who have great stories that should be shared. Artists, musicians, athletes, business leaders, educators, scientists, and I encourage all of them to record and publish. But you don't need fancy cameras, big stages, lights, and live audiences. All you need is something simple like a cell phone to record in your living room. Then set those stories free by publishing them on social media platforms. That is your audience. You have great ideas. Don't wait for permission to share them.
1 minute, 13 seconds. That's about the ratio that we've seen in many classrooms, across content areas, across countries. That's about the ratio. So my little demonstration was somewhat successful, even though my first presentation was a little bit inefficient. May I make another suggestion? I was more reluctant. I will still go with the yeses. Take every opportunity to get students up and moving as much as possible. This is an image I pulled from an article that was discussing how movement and exercise is very powerful for students who have attention issues. On the right side, you will see a brain that is from a student who is sitting, very much like what we are right now. On the left, you will see a brain of a student who is exercising and practicing movement. We know that if we can get the brain to look like it is on the left, with all that activity going on, it can increase memory, attention, creativity, and student achievement. And I would like to demonstrate for you how I go about, one way I go about getting students up and moving when I teach. As Dr. Burns mentioned, I am a musician. I started playing violin at a very young age. I play a number of different instruments. I have a recording studio in my house. I have published hundreds of videos of me playing that are on YouTube. I play a lot of music. And one of the things I do is I write songs about the curriculum, about content, math, science, social studies, language arts. My songs are licensed by the Discovery Channel's education arm, Discovery Education. And I use music in a very interesting way. I would like to play you this song that I wrote recently about the number pi. And you'll also view a music video that I call a paper slide music video. It is a one-take music video. Instead of putting my cell phone on a tripod and standing in front of the camera teaching a lesson, I point that camera down at a flat surface and I slide paper in as information is going along. I would like to play this song for you, and then we will do something with it.
Hey, Archimedes.
Yeah!
Take that regular hexagon and put it up. Find the perimeter.
Yeah!
It's 6 times the R3 diameter's tough. Put it in a circle.
Yeah!
Its perimeter is not quite circumference but close. There's extra space.
Oh yeah!
C over D slightly larger than 3, but wait, because the ratio of circumference to diameter is pi, and any circle, whether tiny or an arc around the sky, which means to find that curving C, we can start by knowing D, then multiply by approximately